Joining me right now, Democratic Congresswoman from California, Sara Jacob. She is a member of the Foreign Affairs and Armed Services Committee. Always glad to see you, though I do want to start off here asking about your reaction to this tragic, horrific attack on the Christmas market in Germany. As Americans are beginning their own holiday celebrations this weekend, are there any concerns about a wider threat?
My heart goes out to all of the families in Germany who should be celebrating this holiday season and instead are dealing with this horrific violence. Our intelligence officials are continuously monitoring even over the holidays. At the moment, there is no indication that this is something widespread or beyond, an individual actions, and we'll continue working and monitoring over the holiday season to make sure that we keep families safe across the United States.
Okay. Let's go to the crisis averted on Capitol Hill. How do you explain to your constituents how keeping the government open became such a mess?
It's actually really hard to explain to my constituents. I represent the biggest military community in the country, San Diego, and it's literally their paychecks on the line. It's our Border Patrol, Customs and Border Protection paychecks on the line. And I heard from so many of them who were so worried that during this holiday season, they might not be getting those paychecks. All because Elon Musk decided he didn't like the bipartisan deal that was agreed to and decided to start tweeting. And then at the last minute, Donald Trump decided he wanted the debt limit. And so I will say, I have spent a lot of time explaining to my colleagues on the other side of the aisle exactly how bad this shutdown would have been for families in my district and across the country. And I'm very glad we were able to avert it. But it really shouldn't have been that hard. And it shouldn't have come down to unelected Elon Musk swooping in and trying to decide how we in Congress should do our jobs.
Yeah, we have to see the extent to which he's going to have influence in the days ahead. But despite Donald Trump's threat to Republicans that they're going to be primaried if they don't extend or abolish the debt limit, 38 of your Republican colleagues voted against the first Trump-backed bill. Then yet yesterday, 170 House Republicans voted for the continuing resolution that also did not include the debt limit provision. Does this signal there are limits to Trump's power?
I certainly hope so, right? I think it's going to come down to my colleagues on the other side of the aisle deciding that they are more beholden to the American people than to Elon Musk and Donald Trump. And we are starting to see that, but I don't want to give them too much credit yet because this was an early vote. He's not in office yet. It's a long time away from the primary elections. And, we're going to wait and see and hope, that they are going to continue doing the right thing when it comes down to it.
And look, Speaker Johnson, he's been under fire for his handling of this mess, including from members of his own party. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene and Senator Rand Paul are now saying Elon Musk should be Speaker of the House, noting that the Speaker does not have to be a member of Congress or, in fact, any elected official. Maybe they're just trolling with this. But how much influence does the billionaire have on the government and the future president right now? And I'm just going to ask you, do you think Elon Musk could do a better job as House Speaker?
All right, I'll start with your last question first. I absolutely do not think Elon Musk would be a good House Speaker. The man has no understanding of how the government works, no understanding of what it takes to pass legislation. And it's always hard to know with our Republican colleagues how much of it is real and how much of it is just for show. I do think, come January 3rd, when we have the Speaker election, it will be interesting to see what happens. I am very confident that House Democrats are going to all stay united and be voting for Hakeem Jeffries for Speaker. But, I think it is really concerning how much power Elon Musk has. He put out a bunch of tweets and decided he didn't like this deal. And I will say, while it's true that we were able to, prevent the debt limit from being increased in this bill, one thing Elon Musk really wanted taken out, which got taken out in the end, was this provision that would have had restrictions on what outbound investments could be made going into China, which would have really impacted Elon's businesses, and that he was successful in getting taken out. So I think there are a lot of very real questions about his motives and the role he's playing, and what checks and what transparency are going to be put on that.
You're asking that question. Democrats are asking those questions. But when it comes to off the record, what you're hearing from your colleagues on the other side, are they grumbling? Are they worried? Are they angry about the level to which Elon Musk seems to have influence and really infiltrated this whole situation?
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, I can't speak for all of them, but the ones that I've been talking to are definitely frustrated. There's been grumbles among both sides of the Hill in Congress, calling him President Musk, really talking about the role he's played here. And I think it is concerning. No one elected Elon Musk.
Good point. Given your role on foreign affairs, I do want to head overseas for a moment because, as you know, the first time in over a decade, U.S. diplomats visited Damascus yesterday to meet with the leader of the HTS rebel group that overthrew Syria's President Bashar al-Assad. Members of the delegation later said he came across as pragmatic and they have removed him from the terror list. How carefully does the U.S. need to proceed in this relationship? And do you really believe that Iran is going to have no role to play in Syria going forward, as the diplomats suggest?
I think that this is such a crucial moment for the Syrian people who have finally overthrown the brutal Assad regime and have a real opportunity now to build a more inclusive, prosperous Syria. And I think it's incumbent on us as Americans to be doing everything we can to help push and help, create that inclusive, democratic, peaceful Syria that I know so many Syrian people want. It's why I co-led a resolution with Ranking Member Meeks that says that the U.S. should be supporting this transition process, that we should be doing everything we can to get there. And, it's early. It's too early to tell exactly what's going to happen, but I think we should be holding them to their words and holding them to their actions and not presupposing what they might or might not do, but actually giving them the opportunity to take this time to rebuild their country.
Okay. Congresswoman Sara Jacobs, always good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much for your time.